Welcome back to the Sports Perspective TV. As always, thank you for tuning in. And if this is your first time coming across the channel, or you haven't subscribed to the channel as yet, but you like the content that we're putting out, definitely hit that subscribe button. It will help the channel grow, and it will be much appreciated. So in this video, as you can tell from the thumbnail, we're going to be discussing Motie and Kevin Sinclair. Both of whom are spinners that are currently in the test squad that will be touring England. And so the main part of this discussion will be, which of these spinners will get the nod, if any at all, to play in the test series, especially the first test match against England, right? So the question for you, the viewers, to answer in the comment section is, who would you play? Would you play Motie or Kevin Sinclair as the spinner in the first match against England, or just overall the test series in general? Which of these spinners would you play in the matches against England, right? So obviously I'm going to be sharing with you, which of them I would play. So from my perspective, giving you my opinion, and also sharing a few stats and a few different things that I thought about in arriving at that decision, right? So just stick around to the end of the video while we discuss all of these things, right? So obviously both are good players in their own right. Motie, we see what he has been doing in all formats of the game for West Indies, right? So he started out in the test format, then he played in 50 over format, and in the T20 format, he has been taking wickets as well. So Motie is a wicket taker, no matter the format that he plays in. Kevin Sinclair, quality spin bowler. He started out in the T20 format. He's played some 50 over cricket as well. And now he got his debut in the test format against Australia in that Australian series. So both of them are good quality bowlers. From a bowling standpoint, though, I would give Motie the edge over Kevin Sinclair. He has been, not that Kevin Sinclair is not good, but Motie, based on his performance, he has proven that at the highest level, he, at least currently, right? Not saying Kevin Sinclair cannot blossom into a top quality spin bowler, but currently, Motie is a better bowler than Kevin Sinclair, right? So, but Kevin Sinclair is a good batsman as well, a better batsman than Motie. So there are a few things to be considered, in making this decision as to which of these players to give the nod in the first test match, right? So a few things that I consider as what considered firstly was, the team that we're playing against, so we're going to be playing England, and, they have a few left-handers in their batting lineup. Well, as far as I know, so Ben Duckett, who opens the batting, he's a left-hander, and Ben Stokes, their captain, of course, he is one of their main batsmen and a left-hander. And as you know, the off spinner tend to have the knack of taking the wicket off the left-hander, but that's more prominent in the limited over version of the game, not so much in Test cricket, because in the longest format of the game, the batsmen aren't really in an attacking mindset, for most of their innings. Hence, the likelihood of the off spinner getting the left-hander out, is reduced in the test format as compared to the 50 over format or the T20 format, right? So there are more right-handers in the England lineup than left-handers for sure, which would give Motie an advantage in that from that perspective, right? But we've played England we played England quite often, and we've had good results against them in the past. And what has worked mostly or mainly for the West Indies team against England has been our pace bowlers, right? Our pace bowling. So especially in the Caribbean, where we've bowled them out for less than 100 runs a few times. But in those matches, it's been our pace bowlers that's done most of the damage for the team, and not so much our spinners, right? And playing in English conditions, I expect it to be no different. English conditions, tend to give a bit of assistance to pace bowlers, because of the atmospheric conditions, and sometimes it can be overcast and stuff. So bowlers usually get a lot of swing in English conditions, pace bowlers. So with that in mind, I think the West Indies will be relying more on their pace bowling attack rather than their spinners or a spinner per se. Again, just considering the conditions, the English conditions, and what it normally does for pace bowlers. Spinners do get assistance off the pitch sometimes as well, depending on which pitch they're playing. So that's not to say that spinners cannot do well, but historically, it's been pace bowlers that do well in England based on the atmospheric assistance and pitch assistance that they get in England, right? So these are a few things that I thought about when deciding which of these players, whether Kevin Sinclair or Gudakesh Motie to pick. Then also thought about, what does this current West Indies team need, right? What are the strengths and the weaknesses of this current West Indies team? And I would say the strengths of the team are where the most experience is in the bowling lineup, right? So you have as far as pace bowlers go, which I mentioned earlier, that pace bowlers tend to get a lot of assistance, in English conditions. You have a Jason Holder, a Shamar Joseph, we saw what he did against Australia. A Jaden Seals, right? We saw what he's been doing well in English conditions as well. And Alzarri Joseph, the vice captain, he top quality pace bowler. So I think that would be the biggest strength of this West Indies team as it relates to our batting, right? Our batting is quite inexperienced, I would say, and I think the batting is the weakest part of this team, right? So apart from Craig Brathwaite, as far as the top 5 batters go, none of the other potential top 5 batters, top order batsmen have ever played a test match in England, right? So, and they are relatively inexperienced, right? So Mikaelu, he will be debuting, right? Kirk McKenzie, he's only played 3 test matches so far, none in England. Alec Athenius, likewise, he's played 4 matches, none in England. Kaveem Hodge, he's only played 2 test matches so far. Never batted in English conditions either, right? So Tevin Imlach, if he gets in the team, he will be making his debut as well, right? So there's a lot of inexperience in this West Indies batting lineup. Joshua Da Silva, he's a wicket keeper, right? But he'll bat lower down the order. He's played in England before, right? But so there's a lot of inexperience in the West Indies team, which is a weakness of this team, which is why I think personally I would pick Kevin Sinclair as the spin bowler in this West Indies lineup, right? Reason being, with the batting being as inexperienced or as weak as it potentially can be, I think Kevin Sinclair, playing as that spinner, with his batting ability, we saw what he did. He did score a half century against Australia in his only test match so far. So he has the ability to score runs, in the highest format of the game. And off the back of that half century against Australia, he then came back home in the West Indies Championship and scored runs. He scored 508 runs in the West Indies Championship. He was the 3rd highest run scorer, at an average of 63.5. So good batting in the West Indies Championship, very good average, scored a lot of runs. Obviously the England bowlers are better quality, but you definitely cannot deny the fact that with the bat, Kevin Sinclair, he offers more than Gudakesh Motie, even though Gudakesh Motie is a better bowler. And based on the needs of this team, the batting, needs to be strengthened, in my opinion. So it's with that in mind why I would pick a Kevin Sinclair over Gudakesh Motie, right? So the pick would be mainly for his batting, but also knowing that he is a good enough spin bowler. Not as good as Gudakesh Motie right now, I would say, but he can do things with the ball as well, in terms of the bowling, and he offers a lot with the batting, right? And like I mentioned earlier, I think that the pacers will be the main part of the West Indian bowling attack in this England series, and I think the pacers will have how well the pace bowlers do will have more of an impact on the match rather than the spinners, right? So With that, it's with that in mind why I personally would pick a Kevin Sinclair over a Gudakesh Motie, at least for the first test match, right? Obviously, if Kevin Sinclair doesn't perform with the bat and his bowling is terrible, then Gudakesh Motie can also come in for the next match, because Gudakesh Motie himself, he has talent with the bat as well. He has he's shown that he can help himself with the bat. Hasn't scored as much runs as Kevin Sinclair, but he has scored runs in bits and pieces as well, right? So it's not that like Budakesh Motie can't do anything with the bat, but currently Kevin Sinclair is a much better batter, and I think the team will need his batting in this, at least the first match, right? Again, if he fails, then he can be replaced. But for me personally, I would go with Kevin Sinclair in the first match, um, for especially for his batting. Definitely let me know your thoughts on that. Would you go with Gudakesh Motie or Kevin Sinclair, in the first match? And so share your thoughts in the comment section as it relates to that. But that's all I have for you in this video. If you're not subscribers, as always, thank you for tuning in. Do remember to like the video, share your thoughts in the comment, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so as yet. Thank you, and I will see you in the next video.